Uh, we, Electrical and Electronics Engineering Department at KLU, are trying to take the best possible advantage of this lockdown time and this COVID time. We at Electrical and Electronics Engineering Department, we have organized in this COVID season various workshops, webinar series. We have delivered, our faculty have delivered webinar series, which have been a very good success. Uh, Students and participants from various places have participated in it, and there was a lot of exchange of knowledge. We as resource persons have gained a lot of knowledge out of it. And also, we have conducted various workshops among ourselves, among faculty development programs to improve ourselves, because when it comes to online, the major part will be delivery of laboratory. Now, how do we deliver laboratory? So, in this regards, laboratory practice, every laboratory was transformed to a software laboratory. We tried to do it, and we have tried to adapt even virtual labs which are available. So all the laboratories which were dependent on MATLAB, we tried to convert it into Python-based laboratory because it is open source. Hope this workshop also adds hands-on experience to you. So wherever it is possible, we'll try to convert our laboratories into hands-on software open source laboratories. So we are trying to make best use of this lockdown time. We also have invited our alumni who are working in various countries across, and also various industries, to exchange their knowledge to our students or faculty. So we are trying to make the best possible use of this time and situation. I hope this is another feather to our cap. An international professor accepting our request. I thank Professor Suresh Kumar for accepting our request and accepting our request and sharing his experiences uh, uh, in the area of control system. Control system, I think, as we all know, it has wide range of applications. It's not just restricted to one branch of engineering. So now adaptive control systems especially has wide range of applications in all walks of life. Let it be robotics, let it be electrical vehicles, let it be machine learning. In all walks of life, control system is there. I think the latest additions like artificial intelligence, machine learning has been evolved from control systems. So hope all of you will have you will make the best use of this workshop, and you use this knowledge for your research and future learning. So happy learning. And I once again thank Professor Suresh Kumar for accepting our request and accepting our request to share his knowledge with all the allied participants. Thank you, Kalyan. Over to you.
Thank you so much for introducing the intention of electrical department, sir. Yes, future is all about going to a virtual platform in this pandemic. So, Dr. Suresh, are you in, Suresh?
Yeah, I can hear.
Yeah, thank you, Suresh. Let me take this time to introduce resource person to all the participants. So it's my privilege to share a few words about the participant. Can you see the screen? Please give me feedback.
Yeah, Kalyan, you are visible. Kalyan, you are visible. I don't know. If you are sharing something, it's not visible.
Is it visible, sir?
Yeah, now it is visible, Kalyan. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, give me a moment. Yeah, Suresh Kumar Gadi, he was born in, brought up in Vizag. Let me give a brief intro about his education and work experience, teaching experience, as well as his publications, research, and etc. So he completed his diploma in electrical and electronics engineering from Government Polytechnic College, Visakhapatnam. And after that, he's into the working profession. He worked as an electrical engineer in L&T ECC division. He worked for 3 years over there. Later, he shifted to a field specialist in Schlumberger Limited, which is oil rig factory which is worked at Kakinada, is as a field place from 2005 to 2007. Then he worked as a project trainee in Honeywell Technologies during his master's study at Vellore Institute of Technology. And later he gone to Mexico, completed his PhD from the University of Politecnica and August, some difficult in pronunciation, so it's in Mexico. Then he is right now presently working as a professor in Universidad Autónoma de Coahuila. So he completed his PhD in the field of automatic control from the Cincinnati IPN University from Mexico City. Then his research interests are from automatic control, digital electronics. Then he dealt with the mathematical subjects, and he worked with circuit analysis, electrical machines, control theory, and so. And he got a good number of publications in reputed journals. He has also had a book chapters, more like his work on. I think he published a lot of work in Spanish. It's a rare thing to see. So as being a native of Indian, he is into Mexico and he learned Mexico. He's writing books also in Mexico. It's wonderful to see that. Then his areas of interest more into the project related activities. He's worked as a leader in making a data analyzer for a universal testing machine, and another open software he created on his own, which is Umayak. Then he worked in lot student projects, which are model-based projects. So his site web, if we visit his website, which G Gadi SK online, if you just Google online, we'll get his resume and we can get more details about him personally. So I take this privilege to introduce Mr. Dr. Suresh Kumar Gadi to take lead of this session and give some brief about his, the domain before he take up the actual session. Over to you, Mr. Gadi. You can switch on your video. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Kalyan.
Yeah,
thank you, Narasimha sir. Thank you for your kind words and welcoming me. Good evening to all of you. Thank you for accepting the invitation and coming to the conference. As Kalyan told, I'm from Visakhapatnam. I came Mexico to finish my PhD and continue working here. Presently, I'm working mostly in the area of Internet of the Things and technology related to the control and computers. So you know everything about me. So let's start to the conference already. Okay. So shall we start the conference, Kalyan?
Yeah, sure. Dear participants, please, if you see any of the block pictures of participants, you can pin the resource person image onto the screen so that we can see his screen very clearly while delivering the lecture. Thank you. You can carry on, Suresh.
Okay. First thing, I want to share a link with everyone so you can download that one PDF file which is having the presentation for today. So you can see the slides and I will tell the slide number and you can see the slide number on your computer screen, and I will show you my screen so that you can we can be in the same sync. Is it possible for you to download that PDF file for all of the participants?
Now. I'm doing.
Kalyan, if the chat window is enabled, you can keep it in the chat window.
Yes, I'm doing the same, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And you can give the presentation right to the resource person, I think.
I think I did the same, ma'am. He's a presenter only.
For me, it's not letting me send.
Otherwise, Kalyan, you present, he can explain.
Okay. Yeah, yes. Yeah. I hope you got the. Please check in chat box. You got adaptive control PDF file.
Then did you share it in chat box?
Yes, yes, sir. It's in chat box, sir. Did you get it or not, sir?
He cannot.
I think it's
You're
not
not able.
visible. Yeah, it's not shared. I don't know. We didn't receive it actually. Till now, I didn't receive it.
Okay.
Is there anything to be enabled so that?
I don't think so. I think all shades.
Or else let me explain how to open it so that you can try it.
Yeah, it's an online resource. Yeah.
It's an online resource, so it should be easy.
Okay, so that.
Okay. Can all of you see my screen?
Yeah, it is visible.
Okay. So my website is skgadi.com. If you open my website, if you go down in the courses, the recent courses, we can find this link, virtual workshop on model reference adaptive control. If we click on it, we can open the page. In the page, we have course material. If we click on the course material, we will open this Google Drive link.
So
In
can
here,
you
you can see.
Can you go a bit slow, because I think all of them will be doing it parallelly.
Okay.
Can you just start from the beginning once? Yeah.
Okay. See, this is the website. The ID is skgadi.com. Once it is open, we have to scroll down to the recent courses. In that, you can see workshop, our workshop link. Let's click on this workshop link.
Now you can see in the chat box PDF file, sir. I think I hope the participants can access to this.
Yeah, we have received it, Kalyan.
Yeah.
So in the course, we can click the course material. In that, you can see for day 1, we have the same PDF what Kalyan sent us. So we can open this and you can go through the slides. I will refer you the slide number. The slide number is here in the bottom right corner. So we can go one by one. Okay. So shall we continue?
Yes, sir. Proceed, sir.
Okay. Okay. First, let's discuss how we can have the sessions from tomorrow onwards. From tomorrow onwards, we will have a 30-minute session before starting the actual class. In the first 30 minutes, you will clarify all the doubts you have from the previous sessions. If you have any doubts in the you can ask me in these 30 minutes. So, and also in each session, we will have like we'll divide into small segments. At the end of each segment, I will take a small pause so that you can ask me if you have any doubts right away. And the last one is, if you have any doubts even after finishing the course, you can always contact me. This is my contact details, skgadi.com/contact. Yeah. The information is in the slide number 3. Okay. So let us start with the course, the UYAMAC. The course is about adaptive control, but let us start by learning the tools which we use for the course. The tool is UYAMAC. And what is the UYAMAC and why do we use it? UYAMAC is similar to MATLAB Simulink. If you already have MATLAB Simulink, you can use it. If you don't have, you can open UYAMAC and you can start working with the workshop. So this workshop works with the MATLAB Simulink and also with the UYAMAC. If someone is having MATLAB and they want to use MATLAB Simulink, they can come to the course from tomorrow onwards. For today, we will going to dedicate all that course to understanding how this tool works. And the tool is UYAMAC. So it doesn't need any installation, and you can open in any operating system, Linux, Mac, or anything. But it uses only Google Chrome. This is developed in Google Chrome. If you are opening in Mozilla or Internet Explorer, it may not work because the UYAMAC still is under development. So I'm still developing it. So you may find some bugs. If you find any bugs, please tell me so that I will correct in the future. And also don't depend too much on the exact functionalities because it may change for the better, of course, but you just don't follow the exact steps what we are going to follow now. You have to adapt in the future because we are going to change just small parts in the UYAMAC to improve it. So how do we access UYAMAC? It's an online web application. The ID is here. github.skgadi.com/UYAMAC with U capital and remaining all the letters in the small letters. Is it possible for you to share the link, Kalyan?
Yeah, I've shared this one. You might. Okay, sure. I'll do it within a moment. Just.
Please let me know once you have opened this link so that you can continue it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've shared, Suresh, I've shared it in the chat box, Suresh. It's uyamac.skgadi.com, right?
No, not that one. It is github.
Oh.
Wait, let me send you. I will send you. You please share because I'm not allowed to see the chat box. I don't know why.
Really?
I'm sending you on WhatsApp. Please
sure.
Share it with other participants.
Yes, I'll do that.
If you can see it clearly, it is here, github.skgadi.com/UYAMAC with U capital.
Suresh,
Share.
you can continue.
Okay, you just open this UYAMAC and if you see slide number 5, once you open the UYAMAC, actually, once you open, you're not going to see this screen. You're going to see a cookies notification. Let me show you how it looks. When you open the website, you're going to see accept the cookies policy. Just accept it. For now, there is nothing big going on with that. It is for the future. You just press accept and you will see the web app. Please use Google Chrome. It's not tested on other platforms. It may work, but I'm not sure if it will work for sure. It's not going to ruin our computer, but it may not work properly. Okay. So if you open your Mac, you can see it is divided into 6 sections. The first section is this part. It's menu. It's like any typical software. It's got some menu. And there is one toolbar for simulating. And this side, this left side bar is, we can call it library. It contains all the models. In the right side, we have property editor. So if you want to change any settings, we can change through this one. If you see slide number 6, it got all the sections listed there. These are the important things we have to find in the menu or settings, variable manager, and file manager. These are the important parts in the menu. So let us go through one by one and see how it works. So what this UMAC does is it simulates any control systems related algorithms. First, let us go through the settings. The settings is very simple. We just go to the edit and press settings. We have only 2 settings. One is changing language and another is to change the colors. So I leave it for the default and to English. So there is nothing big with the settings. The next one is variable manager. In the system, if you go system, there is a variable manager. If you click variable manager, you can add a lot of custom variables here. There are some predetermined variables, or we can call them constants. For example, E, I, infinity, ln2. These are already defined, so you can't use as a variable, but you can use any other name as variable. For example, x is equal to 1. Once you press OK, it shows x. You defined it as a 1, and the computer is recognizing as a 1. So each variable, when you add a variable, it's going to show what are you defining and what does it interpret. It is because you can use variable inside a variable. For example, x0 is x plus 5. You can say that in the variables. And if you save, it's going to say x0 is you defined as x plus 5. The computer is interpreting as 6. So whenever you change the value of x to 9, it automatically updates the x0 value. So you can use variables. Apart from this, you can also use the variables, the values. Instead of real numbers, you can use complex numbers as well. If you use complex numbers, it does the same. Also, you can use as a matrix. It's not just a single real number. You can use as a matrix. You can add more rows and columns. To add rows and columns, we have these buttons. You can add rows and columns. Now it is a 3x3 matrix. If we save, so we are saying X is this matrix and computer is interpreting as this matrix. And X0, you said X plus 5. You know this is X, and if you add 5 to this, you get this. Also, if you don't want if you don't want to add 5, if you want to add a matrix, you can add matrix as well. You can put a 3x3 matrix. 6 plus 5. See, it's not interpreting properly. If you add two matrix, it's not matrix sum is not allowed in this. So what you can do is just add any number and you can save it. All the operations you can do in the simulation itself. So now you can understand if you do any error here, you can see it's not it's showing a bar. It's showing a crossbar. For example, if you try to add anything which is not possible, the computer is saying it is an error. It's not interpreting properly. So now you can understand that X0 is not defined. You have to define it again. So you have to remove it and you save it and you can see it's interpreting properly. So that's how the variables are going to work. You can define different variables. And now let's see the file manager. It is in file. You see this button is file manager. In the file manager, we have two options, save or load. If you want to save this whole program, you can save the model itself. The model is the algorithm which we are going to design is called model. The variables, the settings for simulation and settings for editor, you can save all these things. If you don't want to save any of these, you can just click and unselect it. You can select it to save, you press save, and the file is downloaded here. This file has all the information of the model. So if you want to open this file, you can do in two ways. One is you can drag and drop on this and press open or import. Sometimes what happens is you have a big program, but you want to import settings from the other program. What you can do is you can just drag and import just the settings, simulation settings from the other program, and you can finish it. For example, you can import the variables or anything, you can import it. Yeah. So this is about the menu. There are some other options which we can see as we go on with the simulation process. And in the left bar, let us see about the library. In library, we have different sections similar to Simulink. We have sources, sinks, basic operations or mathematical operations. In sources, we have constant, step function, square wave, sine wave, sawtooth, triangular wave. And in trigonometric functions, have all the typical trigonometric formulas. And matrix operations, we have transpose, trace, determinant, inverse, and other operations. In logical operations, we have digital electronics related operations like AND or NOT, XOR, other things. In continuous time, we have integration, transfer function, and state space interpretation of differential equations. And in discrete time, we have unit delay and also discrete transfer function. As I said, this is in development, so we will keep improving these parts. So for now, we have these functions. And for adaptive control course, these functions are sufficient and we can understand. And in the sync, we have one is display. We have a scope to see the results. We have a XY scope to plot parametric equations. We'll see example today. And we have one robot manipulator. We're gonna use this robot manipulator to understand some parts of the adaptive control. So this is about this part of the UMAC. In the right side, we can change several settings. For example, we can put the grid. We can navigate. We can show outline of the scheme and other settings. Also, once you have any block, for example, I select a constant and we call this design area. You can pull this block into the design area, and once you select this block, it will show the properties of this block and you can edit it here. For example, it says constant. Instead of constant, if you want to say it is a mass, you can say mass and accept. If it says 1, if you want to change in the parameters, you can change the constant, the value. You can change it to some 5 and say apply, and it shows 5 here. And also it shows functionality. What does this block do? In UMAC, we use Y to show the output, U to show the input. So for example, if we say this sum, the Y output is equal to U1 plus U2. So it got two inputs, U1 and U2. What does it do? This block functionality is it adds U1 and U2, and you can edit here. How do we edit? The only parameter is operation. What do you want? Plus plus. If you want, you can make it minus. So what does it do? This, if you select, it says U1 minus U2. So you're gonna remove U2 from the U1. So if you have to, well, let us say if you put on sine wave, in a sine wave we have amplitude, frequency, type of frequency like hertz or radians per second. We can select it, and the phase difference, if you have any phase, we can select. So if we have these two, if we add, if you want to add, I mean not add because it's subtracting. If you want to subtract sine wave from the 5, what you're gonna do is you connect 5 to the plus and the sine to the negative. So how do we connect? Let me show again. So once you put cursor or mouse on top of this output line, you can see it is highlighted. You just click on it, and then you come, you bring and go to the another line where you want to connect. Once you reach, you can see it is highlighted. You just click again and it is connected. The same, you click here and you go, you click here. Same as MATLAB. And also if you want to add another thing, for example, let us say if you want to add the sine to here, the same way you can click on this output or this line. We call it wire. You can connect this wire to this input by clicking on this wire, by holding the control. Hold your control and click on this, and you can see the line started appearing. You can connect it here. So now the sine is connected to this gain as well. Okay, once you remove the line, you can see it's in dotted. It shows it got no purpose. So if you want, you can remove it. It doesn't make any change. So if you have a lot of wires removed, for example, if you remove this, you see there are a lot of wires removed. These wires are not of any use. So to remove all the wires, there is an option in edit, remove useless wires, or you can press Ctrl D. I can press Ctrl D to remove all the useless wires. Okay, let us add these two signals, 5 and the sine wave. Let's add these two. And one more thing I want to show in the property editor, you can give names to the wires. If this is the wire, you can give a name like X. This signal is X and this signal can be something else. And also, if you know LaTeX, you can type the LaTeX here. It means you don't have to type just names or any letters. You can type in LaTeX. If you know LaTeX code, you can press the dollar symbol and you can write, like if you want to say it is X square, you can just type it. So it shows in a little beautiful way. It shows X square. So this is like, if you don't know LaTeX, you can leave it. It's like labels. You can just type any label. Let us say the name is H, anything. So this is about this right side grid, right side property editor. So let us plot. How does it look? Let us put a scope and connect this wire to the input of the scope. So now we have one simulation ready. I mean, we have designed a mathematical model. The model says 5 plus a sine wave. So if you want to see how it executes, you can click here. It says show execution order. If you click, it says the first one will execute. The second, the sine wave is executing. The third, the sum. And at the last, the scope is going to execute. What happens if the scope is not connected? It's going to show this symbol. It represents that the scope is not connected. It means if you run a simulation and you see there is no signal coming or something is not working as you expected, you can click this show execution order and you can understand what's the problem, why you can't see the result, because maybe it's not executing. That's why if you run, it's not showing any results because it's not even executing. So let us see how to run. By clicking here, we can run. So first let us connect this. So it's going to execute in the last. Okay. And the scope, we have two options. The one option is to see in this same window here. The other option is to open a new window. If you want to maximize or do something, you can open this big window. Otherwise, the small window is sufficient for the most of the time. Once you open, you can run this simulation, because we have to open before running the simulation, because only if you open, it is recording. Otherwise, it's not recording. The simulation will work in the background and you can't see anything. If you want to see the result, you have to open it and then run the simulation. To run the simulation, just press this button to execute. Okay, now I see the simulation result. Okay, it is. So what did we do? We added 5 to the sine wave. Okay, so you can see the sine wave is usually at 0, the center line, but it's shifted 5 because we are adding number 5 here. Yeah. And we can note the bottom of the screen, we have a status bar. This is the last thing we have to see in this Yamaka editor. In the status bar, it says design mode. You can edit only during the design mode. You can edit. Now it is in the simulation pause. You can keep editing, but it's not taken into consideration. Once you started the simulation, the model is locked inside the computer. You can't change it during the simulation. For example, you can see this button which I'm pressing is like execute one step at a time, or you can say select how many steps you want to execute. I'll show that. For example, let me show. Okay, this is a way. But instead of 5, if you want to add, like you don't want to add 5, let us say it's 0 now. If you say apply changes, and if you continue with the simulation, you can see the value is updated. So the values will be updated, but the changes in the model itself won't be updated. For example, if you remove this plus and if you multiply them, it's not going to affect it. It's still going to be adding. You can't multiply it. So I recommend you not to change it during the simulation. This is for future purpose. When you have something working in hardware and you want to change some parameters, you can change it. But I recommend not to do it now, right now. It's not very useful. You can zoom it like that. Okay. So what else we can discuss in this section is, yeah, the most important thing is simulation settings. For most part of our simulation, we can keep the simulation settings as it is. No need to change a lot. How do we access the simulation settings is we can hover over this gears, the cogs. If we put our mouse over there, you can see the simulation settings. Let us first discuss by this part, the end time in seconds. So how long you want, it's like duration, how long you want the simulation to run. It usually starts in 0. If you want for 5 seconds, you can say 5 or 10, whatever you want. And if you give any negative number, it will run indefinitely. So it will never stop. So if you give a -5 and you run this simulation, you can see that simulation will never stop. It will continue running all the time because there is no end time. So if you make it positive, it stops. And step size, we are simulating, it looks continuous, but it's not actually a continuous system. In computers, you know already computers work only in digital systems or discretized. So we have to discretize in time as well. We have to break into small pieces. So if you see any of our simulation, it's all in small parts. So you have to tell the computer how small the part you want. Usually if you give big parts, the simulation is not accurate because we are using numerical simulation, not any analytical formula solving. So if you have taken up any courses in the number analysis, numerical analysis, you will understand that see always the small step size is advantageous. So for our simulation, we use 10 or 1 millisecond. We can improve better if you use less milliseconds, but it's not really good. I mean, it's not really good, like it takes a lot of time to compute the same work. So 1 millisecond is good enough for all our simulations, what we're going to learn in the adaptive control. And then we have different types of, the next part is we can see the integration type. We have different types of integration types we can use. For our purpose, again, we're going to use the default one. We don't need to change. But if anyone wants to experiment with other types of integration methods, you can try. And also you can see if you select, for example, Runge-Kutta third order method, you can see the simulation time for integrals is 2 milliseconds, even though if you have selected 1 for the graph simulation time. It is because this method itself takes 2 steps to integrate. So if you don't know and if you don't want to learn, it's all right. It's not required for this moment. All you can select is the default one, and we can forget about this. And the next one is record output for every X samples. It is very useful when you are simulating something very complex and you don't want to see all the results, but you want to simulate with high accuracy. For example, if you want to see a high accuracy simulation with 0.1 microseconds, but you can't plot all the data with 0.1 microseconds because no one can understand that in a big time scale. If you have 1 second, you have a lot of data points. So what you can say is just collect 1 for every X, like here it is 1000. For every 1000, you just give only 1 output so that the computer is not loaded. So it makes easier for the computer to perform. Since we use only 1 millisecond, we can collect all the output. So it's not a big problem. We can set it as 1. I want to remind you that it's a web app, so there are a lot of limitations. It's not like MATLAB. It's going to be a little slow. It's going to be little not very memory efficient. If you give big memories, it may become very slow. It is because we are working behind the Google Chrome. The Google Chrome is the one which is taking resources from the computer. So we are not directly asking computer to take the resource. We have limitation with the number of threads we can use and a lot of other limitations. So keeping all this in mind, don't go for very high computational demand. You don't demand too much to the computer. Even though your computer is very strong, the Google Chrome may not be using all the resources from your computer because of the internal management of memory. So this is about the simulation settings. Okay, now I will take a small pause to see if you have any doubts. Please ask me.
On behalf of the participants, is there any Suresh, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Please tell me.
Is there like a video guide for this platform, Suresh, so that like, they can practice, well before working on this?
There is no video guide, but I have given some courses to my students. It is in Spanish, so I'm not sure if you can follow it. But yeah. I can share. I think you already know the link there on my YouTube channel.
Okay.
So those are the only things I have. I don't have because still it's we are more focusing on development part. We don't have the the learning user guide or other things. But you can always ask me doubts. I will clarify it for this session.
Yeah. Right.
So how many students you think they already know MATLAB Simulink or anything similar like LabVIEW or something graphical programming?
Participants list, I can see many are from 4th year, 3rd years, but already completed their control systems, theory.
Yeah, I think 100% all of them know some or other software. I think we have it as a part of our courses or certificate courses. I think most of them have an idea about MATLAB Simulink or LabVIEW or some software, simulation software. They have used as a part of their course.
Okay, so I think it should not be a big problem because it's something similar to the Simulink.
Yes, Suresh.
Yeah, you have any doubts until now? Please tell me. The menu, the left bar, right bar, the design area, and the simulation toolbar. You can see. How can I know if someone is having doubt? What's the?
Yeah, participants. You can unmute yourself.
So just like MATLAB, if I define a variable, I can use the attributes here, right? So this is a defined as P somewhere as a variable. I want to use it here as a step type. So
your voice is breaking.
Yeah, I can't understand. It's breaking. Yeah.
We define a variable. So
if we define a variable,
you can use that as a standard attribute.
No, I sorry, I can't understand. Can
type that? Can you type the question in the chat box?
Sure.
Yeah. Meanwhile, like he types the question, you can move forward, Suresh, because we have a half an hour more.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. If you have any doubts, please unmute and ask.
We will consolidate and we'll share it to the resource person. If you have any doubts, participants, please type your question or in the chat box. We will consolidate and we'll share it to the resource person. And tomorrow discussion session will probably resource person will create you. Yes.
Okay. Let's go to slide number 7. In the slide number 7, let us solve the first. Let's make our first UMAC simulation. We already made a simulation, but let's make another one to understand again. So to make it new, let's say new UMAC model. Just say file, new model. It says, are you sure? Yeah. Say yes. If you have any errors, just you can press this to refresh. If you are, so anything is fine to make a new UMAC model. So let's make a new project. What is the objective is to understand more details about the UMAC. Which the objectives are in the page number 7. In page number 8, you can see actual example what we are going to do. It is saying, let us prove that the trigonometric identity, the most famous trigonometric identity, sin square theta plus cos square theta is equal to 1. Let us see if it is true through UMAC. So how can we do it? So first let us put a ramp. The ramp is like it increases with the time, but it got some settings. Let us change some settings. The initial value is 0. It starts from 0. And the slope we want 1. And the starting time is 1, but we want to put it the starting time as 0. I change it to 0 and apply changes. If we plot this, for plotting I'm going to sync and take one chart and put. Okay, so if we plot, we expect this to be a straight line. Straight line indicating the time. So the y-axis and x-axis are the same value because its slope is 1. So we can use this as a time. So this ramp is, actually it's not a ramp, it is time. This ramp is time. Okay. So we say cos square theta plus sin square theta. For theta means any angle. So let us give the time as an angle. And we have trigonometric operations sine. We pull out sine. Pull out cos. Let us connect this to the time. So what we have here is sin square, sin theta and cos theta. Let us plot both of them. If you want to plot both of them in same graph, you can use one matrix operation like join both of them. You can join both of them. And you can plot this in the same graph. Let us see if how it works. If you click, yeah, one is sin theta, another is cos theta. Let us increase the time. Let us increase the time to 15 and see how it works. Okay. You can see some of the data points are missing because the scope is having a property like how many data points you want to limit. I said limit to 1000. I can increase the limit to 10,000 and it will show more. It will show 10 times as many as it is showing right now. So this is sin theta and cos theta. So what we need to square it. So how do we square? We use the basic operation of multiplying to itself, or we can use a square function directly. I will remove these two things. I'll use this. This is like square. So let us square them. This is sine square. I use the same block to square the cosine. And if I square, I can join them to see what's the result. So let us see how does the sine square theta plus, we are not adding them. We are just seeing if you square, how does they look. From here, we can already see if one is 0, the other value is 1. Both are 0.5. So from here, this graph itself, we can understand the sum is going to be 1, because when one value is 1, the other's value is 0. And when this is reducing, the other one is increasing, and they both meet at 0.5, 0.5. So you know this engineering notation, right? 5 times 10 to the power of minus 1. It's like 0.5. So we already know it's going to be, sum is going to be 1, but let us sum it and see it ourselves. So let's remove this and add it. We add through this block. Add this. Okay. For example, if you have, let me explain another thing. If you click on some terminal and you have to connect somewhere and you don't want to connect, what you can do is you can right click it to stop the wire, and you can press Ctrl D to remove this wire. Okay, so let us see the result. We just say run, and you see the result is 1. So it shows that sine square theta plus cos square theta is equal to 1. This is our first example through YAMAC. Please do on your computers and tell me if you have any doubts. So what we did is we created a time and we applied sine theta to it and also cos theta, and we are squaring sine and cosine values, and we are adding them, so it looks. So let me write. So what we have in this wire is sine t. This is sine t, and this is cos t. And what do we have here? So sine square t, and this is cos square t. And what do we have in this wire? The wire is so if you know how to type LaTeX, you can type this equation. If you want to move the label, you can hold this and you can move it, this yellow one. So what we have time, and we have sine t, cos t, and we are squaring. After squaring, we have sine square and cos square. and summing them, and we can see this wire is having the result 1. So this is 1. Okay. You have to, if you want to learn more, you have to check the various options we have in the parameters. You can change the lot of properties and see how it behaves, and it will be useful for the future classes as well. Okay, this is end of first example. If you have any doubts, please ask me.
Yes, we have 2 questions in chat box, Suresh.
Okay, yeah, please.
One is Mr. Ravi sir is asking that variables defined in variable manager can be used as attributes to the simulation elements, right, sir?
Yeah, we can use it. Let me show one example. Yeah, we can use it. Let us define a variable here. Let's define x is equal to, let us put a matrix. And let us make a constant. The constant, the value is 1, but you can type x. If you type x, you can see it is interpreting as 1, 2, 3, 4. So apply changes, it shows x here. But what is x? We already know it's in the variable manager, and we can use this display to see how is it simulating. So if you display it and we run, it is interpreting as 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can make any simulation here. I mean, you can make any model with x, and you can define the value of x later on. For example, if you want to find inverse of this matrix, you just say inverse of this. And let us run. If you run, you see this is inverse of this matrix. And if you want to change the matrix, you can change here directly. Instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, you say 0, 1. We know the inverse is the same, 1, 0, 0, 1. Let us see if it comes the same. Remember, the simulation, I just paused it. So if you run, the value will be the same because it's not updating. What you have to do is to stop the simulation, and then we have to run it again. So now it's actually giving the actual result. So the inverse of 1001 is 1001. Yeah.
One more question. Sir, can we do all the simulations what we have done in MATLAB previously? It's a question from a student.
MATLAB got more functionalities than what we have right now. So right now it's not possible to port all your programs here. You can have most of the control system problems you can bring it here. But if you have any hardware related programs, or if you are simulating electrical circuits, we don't have electrical circuits and other things. But mostly used simulations in control systems, we can bring it here. Yeah.
You can continue, Suresh.
Yeah. Okay. This is problem number example 1, which we wanted to see.
I have a doubt, Mr. Suresh.
Yes, sir.
In MATLAB, we have a command window or workspace where I can change a variable.
Yes.
Probably that's what you're explaining. So can we do that with changes in variable, and then that variable can be called inside the simulation, and the simulation can be varied as per that? Like I define in the workspace a variation of a variable, and then can that be called here while running
Yes,
the simulation?
Yes, sir. We can have the variables, but that's the one we are going to have here. These are the variables similar to workspace of the MATLAB. In the command line, you're gonna give some variables. The same way you can define your variables here. Only these are the variables which you can use in the simulation. For example, here we are using X, which we are defining in variable manager, but there is no other window. You have only this variable manager is the only place you can change the variables.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Also, you can have, for example, if you have X, you can use it as a, if you can put X here, it's gonna interpret as, it can join two variables. For example, you see like this, you can put 4x's and it can make 4x join together. It's kind of concatenating. But these things you can see later on. It's not required to understand, but these are like some other tools which is not available in MATLAB, but we added here. MATLAB is having in another way, but these are the things you can do. Okay, so let's go to the. Let's go. Before going, Narasimha sir, is it clear?
Yeah, it's clear. It's clear. Thank you.
Okay. So let's go to the next example. Okay, if you see the slide 9, we can, the question is to solve the system of equations, simultaneous equations. We call, we have different 3 equations and the 3 share the same variables. If you want to solve it, we know how to solve it through matrices. But here we are giving complex number instead of normal, the real numbers, we are using the complex numbers. How do we do is, let me show the example which you have already done. So I'll take this example. The example is example number 2. I have it here with me. What I'm doing is I can drag it, I can put it here, and it will say in file manager, do you want to load it? What are the things you want to load? Model, variables, and simulation settings. I say open it. Let's open all these things. Okay, what we have, if you see the example, it is having a 3x3 matrix or 3 simultaneous equations with 3 variables. The variables are Z1, Z2, and Z3. And the matrix A is, let me show here in the variable manager. I have defined the variables already. The variable A is given by this matrix. The variable B is given by this matrix. If you see the equation in the example 2, you can see how it is taken out. And how do we solve it is, the solution is given below. It says Z is equal to A inverse B. So how do we solve this? We have A, the constant A, we are giving A, it's interpreting as this value, and the B is a constant and its value is given by this matrix. And what are we going to do? We have to do A inverse B. What is A inverse? Like, we just put this block from the matrices, this is the inverse, and we have to multiply this both. And this block of multiplication, we have one parameter called type of multiplication. We have scalar product where each element is multiplied, but we don't want to multiply scalar, we want to multiply matrix multiplication. So we use matrix multiplication option and we apply changes. Remember to press apply changes. Only it will update, it updates only when you press apply changes. So you press it and it shows this, and we can run the simulation to see the output. Okay. So if you see the output, the result is 4 minus very tiny number times imaginary value. And the second row is 1 plus imaginary value. And the third one is 1 plus imaginary value. If you analytically solve through your own, if you solve by your hand on a book, you will get a result 4. You won't get this tiny part. This is addition from This is error because of the computer number crunching. The numbers used in this simulation are uses 32-bit numbers. So it has some error associated to this. So you can always ignore tiny numbers because it's we can't what you can say it's we can't get rid of these errors because it is inherent to the computer itself. We can I mean, maybe MATLAB is ignoring this by applying some advanced algorithms, but what we are applying is it always gives small errors. It gives even if you work on Excel sheet. If you try to solve this through Excel sheet, it gives these small errors. This is because of error in the truncation error and the rounding effect of the computer for the 32-bit number. But you can see the number error is very small because we use 32-bit numbers. Yeah, this is end of example 2. Any doubts? Please ask me.
You can proceed, Suresh.
Okay. So let's go with the example 3. It is in slide number 10. No, slide number 10 is the result to this equation. You can go to the next slide, which is slide number 11. In slide number 11, we see we have in the example says plot x and y. So this is a parametric equations. The parametric equation says like you have x value, y value. You can plot x against y or y against x. So I already have it here. I will show. All these files are also shared in the folder of course material. So if you want, you can see all these files. So let me pull it down here and open it. Okay, there is another way of opening. You can just say from here, file manager. You can click here and you can select the file you want to open. You can select the file you want to open and just say open. You see it here. The slide number 11 says plot x, y, where x is r times cos and y is r times sine. And what is r? R is sine t plus sine cube 2.5 t. So let us see how I got sine t here. The sine t is this sine, the same function from the sources, but I have changed some of the properties. For example, if you see this sine, it is sine t, but if you see this sine, it is having 2 pi t because the frequency type here is cycles per hertz. Well, let's cycle per second or in hertz. We can change it to radians. Then it looks, this one looks same as this one. So we are using this sign. And how do I get this cos? The cos is same as the sine wave. You see the same sign, but it is having a phase difference of pi by 2. So what I'm doing is adding pi by 2 to the phase. So if you shift the phase by 5 pi by 2, you get the cos, right? So we have sine and cos. Instead of having t and then applying sine and cos separately, this is another way of getting it. So we have sine theta, cos theta, and we need sine 2.5 t. So how do we get the frequency? I'm going to change 2.5 and the frequency type radians per second, and we get sine 2.5 t. So how do we get r? R is sine cube. First we need sine cube. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to multiply it by multiply the same value 3 times. So like cube, applying this cube, it is available here in the basic operations. We have cube, we apply here, and then we add this one with the sine. So what we're getting here is at the end of this is R. There is an error in the course material. It says R of R. It's actually R of T. It's dependent of time. So R is T. R of T is sine 2.5 T cube plus sine T. So if you sum, it's R. And what you have to do for getting X is multiplied with cosine, Y is multiplied with sine. And if you see the plot, we can plot this. The result is in the next slide. You can see, and if you see the plot, okay. So this is the result. This is the parametric, the plot for this, the parametric equation given. This is the end of example 3. If you have any doubts, please ask me.
Can we solve nonlinear differential equations to this? Like,
Yeah, you can solve nonlinear differential equations. Yes, sir.
okay. And do we have conditional blocks, sir, like for loop or while, etc.?
Right now, we don't have those conditional blocks. We have some logical operations, but still we need to improve some more. We don't have it completely. It's incomplete right now. We have to add it. It's in the future. We're trying to add it. Yes.
And about state space modeling, can we solve? Can we do something in?
Yeah, we have even one block for state plus. We can use this state space block.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, we can use time-dependent state space with this one. We can use this as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to execute like Kalman filter algorithm, something like that. Can we do it by using this? Like.
Yeah, sure. We can do that, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we can use it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's go to the next example. Next example is very, very quick. The next example is in page number 14, the slide number 14. The slide number 14 says move all joints of a robotic manipulator. We have a robotic manipulator in our sink. So let us make a new model. We have in sink, if you go, we have a robotic manipulator with 6 degrees of freedom. 6 degrees of freedom. The degrees of freedom means how many joints we have. We can say that. So in this, we have a robot. Robot has 6 joints. And let us move all the 6 joints and see how it works. So you can open this, click here, and you can rotate it or zoom it and see this. So I already have an example. I'll open it and we'll see the example number 4. If you open it. So if you click this robot, it says theta 1 until theta 6. Each got some limits. It is limited by 180. And the last one is limited by 400 degrees. So I'm generating a sine wave and I'm multiplying with the maximum it can go. For example, this one, the theta 1 can go minus 180 to plus 180. So I'm multiplying with 180. The second and third, they have a limit around 55 and 63. So I'm multiplying by 50 to be safe. And the third one is, the fourth one is 200. The fifth one is 115. The last one is 400. So I'm multiplying with those numbers and I'm connecting to this. What it does is, whatever value you put here, the robot will be moved to that part. So what I'm going to do is just Okay, before that, I'll show what is the value I used for the sine theta. The sine theta, I used frequency type like hertz. In the frequency, I'm using 0.2 because it completes one's complete cycle in 5 seconds. Because I'm using simulation time 5 seconds, so the loop is going to rotate in a cyclic way. I will show it. Once I press it run, it runs. At the end of 5 seconds, it looks like it's moving in a cycle. So that's why I used value 0.2 here. So what I'm doing is I'm rotating all the six what you call this joints of this manipulator by certain position. We are not including any dynamics here. We're just looking at the kinematics of the robot, how it looks when it moves. But we are not adding what happens if you have enough mass, or what is the inertia of the robot. All these things we are not looking at it now. These things we can look at in the tomorrow's class with the differential equations. If you add some mass to the robot, how it behaves, and later on we can add some control and see what happens. And we are gonna work only one joint. This is the first joint, so we work on only one joint because it gives it's more linear than any other joints, because all other joints are non-linear. You see, the movements are against gravity, and it have some sine thetas associated to that. This all other all other blocks. So we see only one joint, this joint moving. All other we'll keep it fixed to make it look more linear equation, or we can say look more realistic movement. So now we are seeing is the kinematics of the robot. From tomorrow we can see dynamics, how it works when we add mass to the equations. So that's the end of this example. So the robot, you can move forward or even backward, or you can move by some steps, small steps. If you want to move, you can have like this. So it's okay. That's the end of. If you have any doubts, please ask me.
So what is the programming coupling between the animation and the output scope?
Which you are talking about this scope,
right.
or robot?
Some image, and you have that simulation has those changes as per this program, right? The degrees of freedom. Is it any other programming you have used, Suresh, or is it a part of this UMAC program?
Okay, this part of the code is taken from one open source project which deals with 3D implementation of JavaScript. They use JavaScript to show 3D objects. We are using web application, so we use mostly JavaScript here. So in JavaScript, we are looking which is a 3D option. We got this website. They implement the kinematics. They also have dynamics and they have physics into there, but we didn't use the physics of there. We are using our own physics. But actually what you're doing is you give theta to each of this. You tell what is the angle you want for each of the joint. So if you don't want to give all these things, you can just remove all this. For example, let me show. You don't need to put all these things. For example, you can give constant value for all this. And you can move only one joint. What it does is you tell the robot what angle you want each joint. So if you see that the robot is fixed, only it's moving one joint. All the remaining joints are fixed.
Yes.
fixed to this value. Only this you are giving sign value.
Hmm.
So in that way you are controlling it.
So your platform provides such kind of compatibility to the.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Nice, Suresh. The participants, if you have any queries related to the session, you may please ask in the chat box or unmute yourself. You can talk to the resource person. So the day one material is provided in the chat box. Please make use of it and use the same files we have practiced in this live session. So in offline also.
Also, please explore other options because there are a lot of other options which we have not discussed. You can find it while working. It may be useful in the future classes to understand more.
Yeah, if no questions from the participants, yeah, we'll try to wind up the session. We are at 8:30 exactly. Thank you so much, Suresh, for concluding the right moment. I also request the participants to have a hands-on. And can I ask you one question, Suresh? How can we use this UMAIC for our, the education purpose or research purpose? Can you give few insights to the participants so that they start thinking about their work?
Okay, the UMAC is actually designed for simulating and also to implement on hardware. For example, what we are planning is in the future, we write the algorithm here and we have some sinks here and sources. We are going to add some hardware elements here. Like for example, you can put some Arduino inputs, digital outputs, sinks, digital outputs or analog inputs, analog outputs. And you write all the code here, run it, and it will run in the Arduino connected to the computer through USB. And also we are going to implement the same Raspberry, the same UMAC on Raspberry. You can install on Raspberry and the Raspberry will work as a small server and you can program it and you have some ports available here. So you can connect some, like how you are using computer, instead of using computer, you can use Raspberry and you can deploy it somewhere in remote location. You can leave it and come out and it will work on its own. It's like you can have your control system implemented on field. That's very useful for researchers if they want to apply some control algorithms on some robot and they want to leave it. Instead of putting a bulky computer, they can apply on small Raspberry Pi, connecting with some analog inputs through like Arduino or something, and they can leave it on the field and they can work on it. That's useful for researchers. And for students and teachers, we have here sharing option and also cloud organizer, which is not available yet. If you click here file manager, it says local file manager, because we are planning to make it as a cloud file manager as well. In the cloud, you can see your institution you can have one cloud team, like how you have Microsoft team. You can you can share, the teacher can share some assignments and the students can finish it and they can send instead of sending an email, they can just say, share this to my teacher and he's consider it as an assignment and he can see the results. Here itself, he can see the results and he can grade his project, something similar to that.
Okay.
So it's like combining all these things is what we are planning to do it in this software.
Very nice, very nice. So anything else from the participants and or faculty, if you want to share anything, or we can wind up for this today's session. Tomorrow at exactly 7 o'clock, please be in the room. So we will start discussion about the topics which we have said earlier. So we'll be posting the details in this chat box. So if you are a part of this team, if you have a KL University login ID, you'll be getting all the materials to mail ID. So if you have a third party, if you're using mail IDs, we'll share to your personal mail IDs also. So whenever the resource person shares the material, we will share it to your personal mail IDs. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Raju,
thank you.
Yeah, anything? Hello, sir. Yes. So thank you so much, Suresh, for your valuable time and giving a clarity over this platform, which is very useful and user friendly. Even it's a good call for the younger users like our students to explore more for their research work. So we'll meet tomorrow. Suresh, thank you so much
Yeah.
for your participation.
Thank you all of you. Let's meet tomorrow. Bye.